Hey, in light of Halloween, next week we are going to be doing real estate horror stories. So if you have a real estate horror story, drop it in the comments. We would love to feature your story on next week's podcast. Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. Hurricane Helene hit just a few weeks ago, and now Florida is embracing to be hit by Hurricane Milton. And Redfin came out with a report that said nearly 1/3 of young adults are now reconsidering where they want to live. And we know that the hurricanes are not helping Florida.
Gosh.
So we've got hurricanes, we have insane insurance premiums. Keith and I were doing a little bit of research on insurance premiums in Florida, and October 1st, a new law went into effect requiring home sellers to disclose the homeowner's insurance and if it does or does not include flood insurance. So let's unpack this.
Yeah, that's like one of those things where you wonder if there is going to be some type of regulation that ends up getting added because it's almost going to become like a necessity, right? Because especially with a lot of these, let's take these areas like you're talking about where it's Tampa, Clearwater, Sarasota, right? Clearwater and Sarasota are like high desired places, prime real estate once upon a time that now you may be able to get a deal.
It's crazy because at one point in time, during the whole COVID thing, a massive part of the country flocked to Florida.
Oh yeah.
Now everyone's flocking away from Florida because of all these hurricanes. It's super crazy to think about.
It is, but I would have to say that if that were me and if I moved there and then if I was dealing with this, I would probably want to move.
I don't know. It's kind of exciting, like get them like leave and go somewhere, for the weekend.
But if you're one,
all your stuff come back
and,
to
hope that it's good when you're back, just a little bit of adrenaline in your life.
You wouldn't even be able to sleep, dude.
A little adventure.
Jay'd be in bed
all
night.
Your
stuff.
My
house isn't destroyed.
Hey, let me hurry up and go take inventory of everything I have just in case I need to make a claim. What's the receipt? I'm kidding, but
yeah, I'm kidding too. But I'm glad that they called it Milton because no one's going to name their kid Milton, right? I mean, and who would want to name their kid Milton?
Yes.
That happens. There's actually a phenomenon that after hurricanes, so after Hurricane Katrina, there were way more baby names with K in them. And it's because we keep hearing Katrina, and then now we start naming our kids names that sound like K. And then also weird random thing. Did you know that 1/4 of men's names end in the letter N?
Oh, mine does.
I know. So
wow.
So does
Keithan.
Is that because it's like very, very like masculine?
Just random fun fact. Google it, fact check me. But
I'm the only one out of 4. It says 25%.
Yeah, 1 in 4.
Okay, 1 in 4. Yeah, you're right.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I know. Now I'm like, okay, Austin. I'm trying to think of the names here at the office. James.
Yeah.
Cayenne.
Tusharin.
Cayenne.
Okay, yeah, that was super off topic. But
okay, so
fun.
And so flood insurance is mostly not, it doesn't come with it.
Right.
So you'd rather your house be completely torn down or caught on fire than to flood.
Or a big tree hit it.
Oh, a big tree hit it, yeah.
Yep.
But what if the tree hits it but it's flooded too?
They would still have to cover the house.
Would they say, "Oh, it's just we're
well,
just going to do the
insurance
roof
companies,
but we're not going to deal with the flood here"?
I bet. Anything that would probably be mold or drywall damage. Like let's say it hit the garage and massively obliterated the garage.
But what you could say is like it went through the house, opened up the house, and then it rained into the house.
You could.
So that wasn't really a flood. It was just it was.
It was the rain from the tree.
I think the point is that there's a lot of gray area and there's a lot of ways that you could be negatively impacted.
Well, and will the lawyers and arbitration people, whomever for the insurance company,
what
then
about
try to like mitigate their loss, right? Because that's, you got to remember, those mitigation loss analysts, they're mitigating the insurance company's loss, not yours.
What about mortgage companies? I mean, they're going to have a bunch of foreclosures because these houses are all destroyed because of floods and people can't afford to repair them. So
because they didn't have proper insurance.
So they just let it go. They're like,
Ryan Serhant.
Well, proper insurance. I mean that's like, I mean, if you're not in a flood zone, why would you get flood insurance unless it was just for
right
a possible hurricane? You know, that would would surge 18 feet up above sea level and flood your house.
Almost useless.
3 miles in.
Maybe mortgage companies start requiring flood insurance even in areas that wouldn't typically be deemed for it to be necessary. I don't know. But Ryan Serhant recently was on, I think CNBC or something. Can't really recall what it was, but he was talking about how the insurance problem in Florida is probably one of the greatest things impacting the housing market right now. Because it is
egregious.
It is egregious. The premiums that people pay in Florida, it's insane.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's almost where I could see in like those high risk areas that they try to pull in some type of regulation because it absolutely affects affordability.
We have one in Riviera Beach that we just sold, luckily, but the premium was like $12,000 a year, and we had it under contract. And then when they figured out how much it was to insure it, they canceled.
Yeah, because it was like 18 to 20.
Yeah,
it was going to be $18,000 to $20,000.
So like you're talking a $600,000 house with a mortgage of $4,000 or $5,000, but then you're paying another $1,500 to $1,600 a month just in insurance. So it's almost like 25% of your mortgage.
So where are people in Florida going to move to? Where are the next hotspots? I think Arizona is always the prime spot. I mean, we don't have, other than extreme heat and haboobs, which Chris, have
scary.
You seen a haboob yet?
Looks scary. You've never seen a haboob?
So it's just like this big wall of dust.
Have you seen The Mummy?
It's the nothingness.
It's like that.
But brown.
We get to see them here because we have these big, we're up on the 5th floor, so we get to see these big giant walls of dust just come in.
I mean, it's not as extreme as it, but that's what it looks like coming in.
I've seen some that's almost as extreme as that. You literally can't see. And I mean, every once in a while, there's unfortunately bad accidents because
you got to stop on the freeway because you can't see like 2 feet in front of you.
Like I've definitely heard some horror stories where people didn't stop. They drive and there's a truck that's parked in front of them and
decapitated.
But okay, but let's be real. We get maybe 1 a year, 2 a year.
Yeah, less than a half dozen.
Yeah, this year hasn't been bad at all.
No.
Some years it's like a half a dozen, but most of them aren't bad. They're just kind of cool to look at.
Have you seen these memes where the plastic chairs are falling down in someone's backyard and it says, "We will rebuild"?
Because it's like nothing terrible happens here except for the extreme heat.
Well, we do get chairs in our pool, Sometimes
or
chairs fly in our pool. We gotta get
some
them
wind, the umbrella.
So Arizona's a good spot because not a whole lot happens here. Colorado, Idaho. I mean, Boise was the #1 spot during the pandemic, right?
Yep.
And
Las Vegas,
Austin was super popular during the pandemic. Not so much anymore.
Well, for different reasons. I feel like all of Texas. What about like Tennessee? Because I mean, there's been a massive influx in Tennessee the last couple of years.
You said
I don't know
tornadoes and hurricanes hit the Tennessee?
Hurricane.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know it's hit. Yeah, it was like a storm right by that point, but
tropical storm.
Yeah, I mean, just it's definitely interesting, right? Some of these things, and I think that part of the, and I haven't overly fact checked this, so I'll just kind of.
Just throw it out
there.
That
disclaimer.
Just give it. Just tell
it. That everybody wants to make such a big deal about these, right? And it's just obviously that it's an uneventful situation, but this is like basically the first time that something like this has happened in the last 100 years. And they just like basically saying it's like kind of like the cycle of certain things that happen, and everybody wants to put this gargantuan issue. And don't get me wrong, when you are on the recipient of it, is a gargantuan issue to get your house obliterated.
But Florida's pretty big. I mean, there's a lot of people leaving right now. I mean,
absolutely.
It's going to go across the whole state, right? So
yeah, I mean, the state population of Florida is what, 25 million, 30 million? I mean, it is way up there.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos of people sitting in traffic and
2-3 hours
to get out.
But finish your thought though. What was?
Yeah, I guess just the scare mentality, right? I think that we're sometimes, if you can weather the storm on certain areas, again, very short-sighted of me to say when you're not sitting on the coast and 125 mile an hour winds hitting your house or having to cut out your entire drywall of your house because it's all wet, but. It moves in cycles, and the population of Tampa, the population of Clearwater, Sarasota, the demand, all of those things wouldn't be what they were if this happened
all the time.
Right. So I found myself watching Gary Cardone, which is super weird, and I have no clue why this dude's popping up on my X feed, and I had no
'Cause he's a
clue that
huge
Grant Cardone had like a
I'm like,
twin
It's because
brother.
he's a big Bitcoiner.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
what's the
Is
assembly?
that why?
Oh yeah, he like sold his
he's
mansion
like-
to buy
they-
Bitcoin.
He looks identical.
It's uncanny.
If you,
They're
if-
his brother. They really are brother.
Yeah,
Clearly,
if
I didn't
if
know that.
when they're right next to each other, and you didn't,
You
and they're like, which one's Grant? You couldn't freaking tell.
I could tell.
I could say I could probably
Are they
now
twins?
after I watched an
Well,
11-minute
if
video.
You didn't know him that well.
If I didn't, yeah. At first I'm like,
Really,
what?
is that
When
I'm
it,
like,
when it first
what happened to Grant
I didn't know
Cardone? He's
either.
like
I
a
was
little bit
what?
older.
Yeah, he's more chill.
That's what happened to me too.
Are they
Like,
twins?
what's this guy?
I thought Grant was like
No,
doing
I
some
don't
like
think they're
AI,
twins.
Just
like
I think they're
really
brothers.
strong
like-
genes.
like I gotcha, and then I was like, holy crap, this is real.
Yes, me too. I had that same experience. Super
They're
strange.
like those types of brothers. We are twins. We're just separated by 5 years.
So anyways, watching him, and X totally has me profiled wrong. They think that like I'm like a dude in my early 50s. But anyway, so
Well, it's
I'm
based
watching
on
this video
clicks.
and he's staying put. He is like hunkering down, staying put. He has this beautiful, beautiful home on the Gulf. And yeah, so he's got like these storm shutters that like come down and like turn the whole house into a fortress. And
Well, I watched a little
I've
clip
seen those.
from the news, and I think it was one of the FEMA directors basically said, if you're in an A or B zone and you stay, you will die. That's what she said. Flat out said, you will die.
that is so
Wow,
sad.
that's
There
scary.
were meteorologists that were crying
Yeah,
on air
they're like,
at the
"Ooh."
intensity of this storm. Like it is a big
Yeah,
deal.
they said it was like going to be 100-year storm, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, I saw
So
that too.
let's just all mad prayers,
Yes.
good vibes to everyone that's impacted. There are people that can't leave. They don't have the economic wherewithal to leave,
Yeah,
and they have to hunker down. And so,
That
Godspeed
would
to
be
them.
super scary. There's no doubt about
Super
that.
scary. So, shifting back to real estate, something we talked about last week was the very low turnover. And we know what that means is there are less transactions to go around. And so agents may find themselves in lean times. And I think that there's such a tremendous opportunity right now, especially with all of the rule changes, to really capitalize, gain your unfair share. I want to give some value to agents right now on what they can be doing in these times that may be lean, because we all have the sentiment that things will pick up very soon. We all kind of believe that there's a lot of pent up demand. Despite interest rates raising after they dropped, we do believe that in the next few months, rates will come back down a little bit and that home buying and home selling will pick up. And so what can agents be doing right now to prepare themselves for 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months from now?
They can buy the Zoodealio home report and send it out to all of their database.
100%.
Okay, like for sure.
I know you're joking,
yeah,
but that's a real statement.
I'm joking because not just a product plug. We really do believe in this report, but let's give some.
It's cool. It's got an AI component. It's like, you can ask it questions. It has some pre-populated questions in there. You get your value.
It's going to tell you who's ready to sell.
If you have multiple properties, you can put all your properties in there and see all of your equity combined. And I mean, it's super cool. You guys did a really good job.
Thank you. You helped too.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I helped a little bit.
Okay, so definitely the Zoodealio home report. If you haven't checked it out, please do. You'll love it. It is pretty incredible. But what else?
I think reaching out to your clientele and just touching base. You gotta touch base with people. If you don't, they're asking other people questions, and you want to be the person that they come to when they do have a real estate need. So if you're not reaching out and touching base, they're not going to reach out and touch base when they're ready. So you gotta connect with people.
And how, if so, you're reaching out to your database. What do you think the best ways to reach out to your database are?
I mean, as a younger person, I guess I'm not young, but a text message, Facebook profile, Facebook message. Some people are old school and pick up the phone, make a phone call, leave a voice message. It's just old style or old school combat prospecting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you tailor the message or would you tailor the medium of the message to the individual? Like if you were working with someone, and would you say like, okay, I think this person would respond better to a message on Facebook because I know that they spend a lot of time there. Or would you just do all of the same thing for all of your people?
Oh yeah, I definitely tailor it. You know, it depends on the relationship too. You know, sometimes you have a text message relationship. Sometimes you have a social media relationship. How are you communicating with them now? And if you're not communicating, then you're probably not a really good agent, and you should.
Yep.
You should start. You know.
Yep.
Okay.
You got to turn the corner.
Yeah, I like all good tactics. And this is the thing, is that there's no right or wrong way to do this. And everyone does it a little bit differently. So I know, Elliot, you are just brimming with thoughts.
I got a few. I think that it really matters where you're at. So to Jay's point, if you have a database, if you have a contact list, if you have all of that and you're somewhat established, you have a history, great. You have an advantage. Don't be that agent that's a secret agent and forget to contact and communicate the value proposition. Because I think that a lot of times it is a mathematical equation, which I will talk about. And I know that sometimes that's not that sexy for people to say, but the reality of it is the people that you know, there's gold in your database. And if you're not communicating a value proposition and giving them what they're looking for, such as, a lot of times the home sell and we'll start with a home search. So you need to have those tools. Well, if they have a house to sell, sometimes they're not going to sell until they can know what they get for their house. So sometimes that's where a cash offer tool can kind of come into play so that they can control all dynamics. The beauty of these technologies is it's going to help you communicate that value proposition and create high quality leads. That to me is the biggest thing. But let's take away those things and say that you're just starting out, you just moved to an area, you're like Chris here, just moved here, and you don't know anybody. Well, the reality of it is you can still access data by usually finding what is a more buying and selling turnover, higher turnover rate area, right? And even though these numbers are compressed, you can absolutely usually from your lending partner, property radar, there's a plethora of areas out there that you can find where you can work smarter versus harder. Then from there, you're going to be able to get those lists, right? Find people that are buying and selling in that area. You're going to have to look for that contact information. Or here's one that we haven't mentioned. You can absolutely mail to them. And this is where, to me, you're going to have to pour in some technology. Again, you can absolutely do like a postcard, a QR code that's going to pull them in and alert you once that QR code is scanned. There's so many things today that I feel like are cheat codes for agents that exist that just didn't exist when we were having to do the heavy prospecting. It was everything at massive volume until you got the yes. Where today, there's so much tech out there that tells you who's clicking, who's engaging. That way it gives you back your time, your most important resource, so that we know who we should be focusing on. And then that, of course, is going to give you a better conversion ratio. So I know that was a ton of info, but at the end of the day, it comes down to these simple facts. Where are you at in your existing contacts, right? So if you have a transaction goal of, let's say, 25, right? And you have 1,000 good contacts, you should be able to reach that goal even based on that. If you have 100 contacts and a goal of 25, well, then you need to find a way to get out there and get that contact database out there. And even if that's going to cancels, expireds, FSBOs, right? That's still information, still a contact list that you can get and be able to bring that to those people. So hopefully that was some more meat and potatoes.
All good things. What do you think, Keith? And it doesn't have to be about your database. Like, what should agents be doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything that's being discussed right now. I'm sure most people have heard. So, I mean, I don't really want to piggyback too much because it's going to be the same thing, saying it a different way. But in regards to kind of what you propose, what can agents do now, right? Those are all things that you should have been doing 6 months ago and you should be doing in the future. Those are just implementations to always stay in front of people. But we do find ourselves in a very unique marketplace, right? We were unique 6 months ago, but we're in a different unique right now. We all thought the interest rates were going to go down. Well, they went up a little bit. So what does that mean for the marketplace? So what you can do now is study the market and how that could potentially impact your local marketplace and educate people. That's how you stay in front of people right now, is giving them the market of the moment and what are the pros and cons of selling? What are the pros and cons of buying? There's always a pro, there's always a con, right?
Always.
Those are things that you need to come up with That's a value proposition. That's what people want to know right now. There is uncertainty. Then we've already talked about this podcast over podcast that the upcoming elections cause a little bit more uncertainty and cause people to sit on the sidelines until the election's over, for better or for worse, I guess, depending on your thought process and your
chosen party.
Yeah, there you go. And how you look at all that. You know, how does that going to impact? You know, you have your own opinion. I would imagine the people that are probably within your network may or may not have the same thought process of you. You can keep it general, you can keep it super specific, but that's what you can do in the market of the now, is just talk about, hey, what's the rest of the year of real estate look like? You know, should you sell now if you need to, or should you wait? And just, that's providing people education, and it's also providing them options. It gives them a reason to think about things. And as a result, hopefully they're going to be like, hey, you provided me a value that now I want to use you because, you know, they're basically using you as the real estate news source.
Yeah. Are you saying, and I'd imagine you're saying to post these things on like social media as
well,
an example,
and to Jay's point, you know, that's why we didn't, you know, whether it's a plug or not, that's why the home report was created, because you can incorporate all of that, you know, along with the home report and crush any other agent that's trying to communicate any other thing to the same clientele. You're going to just stand out big time.
So absolutely, Keith, I agree. Giving value. In fact, something that I said yesterday on my coaching call was we have to obsess over delivering value to people before they need our services, right? If you wait to deliver value until they're in that consideration phase of selling and buying, it's too late. You've missed the boat. You need to be delivering value before, and then they will see you as that resource. And you know me, I'm all about creating content, making video. And so if I were you, I would absolutely be using video to educate and inform your market. All real estate is hyper local. Talk about the things that are happening in your very local market, and not just like rates and things, but also like what are cool amenities, what are unknown features, or what are the hot spots in your town. Really be focusing on those, and you will be seen as that resource and the local mayor.
Love it. Local digital mayor.
Yes. Yeah. That's a blast from the past.
That is. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning into this episode. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That way you are notified every time we drop a new episode.
Thanks for tuning in.